Hey guys, Joe, Team PDG channel here. This is just a video to show my deck list on the locals on Saturday. I got first place. There was only about 12 of us, but teammate Streeter said that we had to record something. So he made me promise that if I won, I had to do a video. So this is the video. I mean, it also gives me an opportunity to test out the new webcam setup. It's a lot. I'm trying to find out whether this way is easier when I'm on my own and sort of hands-free rather than having to hold the camera with one hand. So it's already a plus. I could probably do a lot more videos like this. So here we go. The deck was Laval's. So 3 Laval Volcano Handmaidens, 2 Lakeside Ladies. A lot of decks at our locals use a lot of back row. So 2 is quite helpful. I know some decks only run 1, but I really prefer 2. 2 Magma Cannoneers, 2 Laval Cannons. I do want to try 3 at some point, but at the minute I'm running 2 in a rota. 3 Flambeau Fire Dogs and 1 Flambeau Magician. The Fire Dog's more of a scare tactic than anything. Normally it's the first thing they'll bottomless. A few times I just normal summoned a Fire Dog, and they bottomless it, then I went for a Rekindling. I mean, it's good. It can get any of the Flambeau stuff as well, really, apart from Cannon. But really, I don't want to be summoning Cannon anyway from the Fire Dog. 2 Vortex Troopers. This is because of my lack of card Ds, but I mean, they both have their own role. Whereas card D lets you get more cards, Vortex Trooper shuffles the ones you don't want back into your deck. In case you don't know what it does, it lets you shuffle 2 cards from your hand back into your deck when it's normal summoned. Then you draw 2. And also when it's destroyed, you draw a card. That works under macro as well. It doesn't need to go to the graveyard. That did happen a few times. If they had macro, and I did still get to draw with the Vortex Trooper. I've sort of tried both out in DN, the Vortex Trooper and the card cart, and I can't really say I prefer one over the other. A lot of times I did send back stuff that needed to go back into the deck. Those are cards like your Magma Cannoneers, your Lakeside Ladies, and your Handmaidens. Although these aren't necessarily dead in the hand, you just rather have them in the deck for your conduction field. So yeah, the Vortex Trooper is good. If there's nothing you want to send back to the deck, you can just set it and then you destroy it to draw a card. And then Gauze, 2 Battle Favors, and 2 Effect Veilers. I probably should have run Tragodia, seeing as I only run Treacherous Trap Hole in here. But I just couldn't find the space for it. Instead I sort of ran more spells, which at the end of the day they were a lot more helpful than I think Tragodias would have been. I think if there were Mermills playing at our locals, I think I definitely would have had to play Trags to stop all the OTKs. But there were none playing that day. And then onto spells. So you've got Dark Hole, Reborn, Storm, and then 2 Mystical Space Typhoons. I didn't want to play 3, seeing as I've got the Lakeside Lady, and how the Lakeside Lady's reusable with the Laval Cannon. The Lakeside Lady's banished, you can summon it with the cannon, and then you reset up the Lady's effect in the graveyard. So I felt 3 might be overkill. So I just went for 2. Side of the 3rd one, of course. Then onto the sort of more specific spells. Got 3 Molten Conduction Fields. As I'm sure you're already aware, it sends 2 Lavals from your deck to the grave. And if you send a Handmaiden at the same time as another Laval, or if you already have one in there, you can use Handmaiden to start filling the grave by sending more Handmaidens. And that sets up for your Rekindlings, which allows you to do your Mahusive plays. And then 3 gold sarcophaguses. These normally have to search for these cards. If I open it with Rekindling and no Molten Conduction Field, I'll use it to search for the Conduction. And obviously if I open it with Conduction and I don't have the Rekindling, I'll use it to search for Rekindling. I've got a few people to scoop just because they knew the Rekindling was coming. It's quite scary knowing you've got the Rekindling Conduction Field coming. The rest of the spells, Reinforcement of the Army, because it searches your cannon. which is like it's a 1-card synchro. Even though there's only 2 targets, you can shuffle the cannon back into the deck, burst it with the Pot of Avarice and Laval Dragon. I don't think it was ever dead. Then 2 Pot of Duality, again with the Gold Sarcophagus to set up, and Mind Control, just a good card. And then the 1 trap is Treacherous Travel. And go into the extra deck. Right, there's only really 2 cards in here I'd swap. The only 2 Exceed monsters in here are Gemlight Pearl and Maystroke. I did think about playing Laval Chain. There were 2 problems with that. The first problem is I don't have one. The second thing is, I don't think I even would play one. There was one scenario the whole day where it would have been nice to have one, but it wasn't essential. But the idea behind the chain in this deck is you can overlay a Laval and another level 4 into Laval Chain. Use it to detach the Laval from the chain and send Handmaiden from your deck, and then Handmaiden's Event activates to fill up the grave, the same as you would with the Conduction Field. But there was like one scenario where that would have been helpful, and if I remember correctly, it wouldn't have mattered anyway. I can't remember if I lost or won that game. I made this a few more times than I thought I would. Cannon's really helpful trying to make these because you can just bring back one of your other level 4s. These were really just to get over Ophion because I knew there were going to be a Nevil Swarm player there, one at least. I think the Gemlight Pearl did kill an Ophion, so that was quite helpful. Then the Synchros. Shooting Star Dragon, which I didn't make at all, so that's probably going to come out. It was never really intended to be a win condition, it was just in there because I could. So yeah, that's probably going to come out. Level 8 Stardust Dragon, Colossal Fighter, and Scrap Dragon. In hindsight, I probably could have made Colossal Fighter more than I did. It's still quite a helpful card, even with a lot of destruction going around. Obviously, I wouldn't just make it and leave it. It would be backed up by something like Stardust or other cards that can negate all targeting stuff, like Deep Prisons and all that. Scrap Dragon and Stardust were really the only ones I made much. Level 7s is Laval Stanon and Flambeau Deity. Flambeau Deity won me a few games, just because I could banish the stuff in the opponent's graveyard that I didn't really want them to keep. Things like Wind-Up Magicians, Rats, that sort of stuff. Had I went against more graveyard-centric decks, it probably would have helped especially well in those games. Stanon was definitely the MVP synchro of the deck all day. The fact that it really has no limit to its uses, because you can fill your grave back up with Lavals even after you banish them for its effect. Sending a card from your hand to the graveyard isn't necessarily bad. I mean, normally I'd end up sending like a Lakeside Lady that was dead in my hand, and that of course set up the Lakeside Lady. But yeah, definitely the MVP. The only level 6 Laval Dragoon. You can add a Laval to your hand and then send one from your hand to the grave. Like, the ideal scenario of that is if you hadn't already set up, you could add Handmaiden, then send Handmaiden again, and then refill up the grave. I did do that after a Pot of Avarice, just to draw my 2 and then thin the deck out of the cards I don't want to draw again. A lot of the time it was just to add Cannon and then ditch something that I didn't really want. But you don't make it too often before you've already set up, so the whole Handmaiden thing isn't too helpful. But I just needed the level 6. And then level 5s are probably the most important. TG Hyperlibrarian, obviously. Catasta, obviously. Laval Dragon and Laval Dual Slasher. The 200 defense on Dual Slasher is what made it definitely a card I have to play in this deck. The ability to synchro with it, and then later on rekindling it back for the turn, and then just synchro it into the grave so it doesn't get banished, is brilliant. I mean, its effect is still pretty good as well. Bit of that. I shouldn't really need to cut any of them, but yeah, I mean, they're all good. Laval Dragon, especially good. You just shuffle 2 Lavals from your deck from your grave to the deck. and return a card in the field to the opponent's hand. It kills his end mains, gets rid of back row. It's just brilliant. And then Catastrophe and Hyperlibrarian, they're pretty obvious. And then the 4, which is Armory Arm, which really I didn't need. You don't make 4 too often, so I can probably come out for another level 7 option. I found when I was summoning Cannon to get the Lakeside Lady back, I didn't have many options, because you can only make the Stenham. So probably maybe a Scrap Archery or something. And then a level 2 Formula Sync Club. The formula was quite helpful. I would keep it in. It did help, obviously, with the dead faders and stuff. You normally have a level 1 toon in your hand, whether it be the Veiler or the Handmaiden, or you'll have a way to bring one to the field. And then the side deck, there's 2 Maxis, 2 Snowman Eaters, 2 Puppet Plants. We do have a lot of Samurai as our locals. 2 Soul Takers, 3rd Mystical Space Typhoon, and 2 Dust Tornadoes. Which, personally, I think I should have played Twisters instead. This is something me and a friend talk about quite a lot. Is he prefers running Dust Tornadoes, whereas I prefer running Twisters. But normally I only run the Twisters in a deck that, if I can play the Twister on my turn, that I can go for the game that turn. In this deck, the cards that are really going to hurt me are the Macrocosmos and the Dimensional Fissure, assuming I haven't already set up. So, if I can play the Twister on my turn, then play the Conduction Field before they can set up any more ways of stopping me, that to me is better than the Dust Tornado, having to set it and then wait a turn. The fear when I'm setting Dust Tornado is that it's going to get MST'd, or even though that's bad for the opponent because they've -1 themselves and I can chain it, they could still set another card that's going to stop my Conduction Field. It didn't happen, but that's my worry. And then 2 Mind Crush and 2 Gozer Match. Gozer Match is worth kind of iffy. Probably take them out. Yeah, that's the deck. I'm probably going to do a Vanguard's deck, set of deck profiles, seeing how we do on the weekend, as it's the team tournament. So if you're into Vanguard, just sort of check back Sunday night, maybe, by the time I get it all sorted. In terms of Yu-Gi-Oh!, the next stuff that will go up will probably be preparation for Nationals. I think it's just over 2 weeks now. It's looking like we'll probably end up playing Mermail for it. So I'll probably post up a deck profile once to get all the Megalos in. So yeah, that's all. See you later.